but as a person that will create the most revenue-driven events that deliver actual business value. And as I've mentioned before, and if someone has joined us just now, you can go to menti.com and using the code that you see on your screen, or by scanning the QR code that you see here as well, you can share the questions that you would like to discuss, some challenges or some problems that you currently have when it comes to proving ROI of your events, or maybe communicating with sales leaders. And we will get to these questions in the second part of our session, which, just like this whole amazing event, is supposed to be a conversation. But while you do that, and before we dive into the conversations, I want to tell you a story. Once upon a time, an event marketing team was moved to a revenue department. I remember the day very well, April 25th of 2018. I was sitting on numerous boxes in the backyard of a restaurant where we were hosting an event for our customers, and I was so that from that moment on, I was in charge of our event, and that occurs, but also it was really the very best thing that has a marketer. Why? Because that was on the other side of the field. You know, there is always marketing and there is always here, I went to here. And then over the next 3 years, I was actually moving back and forth across the field and connecting our and sometimes explaining how things work for the revenue people and how the campaigns are structured by the marketing. What I've learned is that we talk different language. When marketing team would say, we generate, new leaders would say, okay, they flooded our CRM with low quality leads. Or when we would say, we had amazing traffic at our booth, good old times when the trade shows were possible. And the sales account executives talking to students. I realized that something is broken there, like that we need to fix that. We need to start talking the same language. We need to start understanding each other. And apart from those conversations, there were other conversations. Once in 2 weeks, we would sit at a virtual roundtable with the revenue team members from 3 different countries. And we would discuss things such as percentage of ARR achieved by now, how much in this month would we add in expansion MRR. First 2 meetings, I realized that it's time to upgrade my skills. It's time for me to learn, because if I don't learn, if I don't start speaking the language that our revenue leaders do, I will never earn the credibility. That I will never earn the voice at that table. So what did I do? I went on, just a quick question. Sorry for the off top. Can you still see me? Because it seems like my camera went off.
Hey, Aleksandra, I think your Wi-Fi is a bit patchy. Let me see. I had to kill your video for people to hear you.
Can you see and hear me now? Can you see and hear me now?
Looks like you are frozen, Aleksandra. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's start once again. Can you hear me now? No? Okay, just a moment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, can you hear me? Okay,
I can hear
perfect.
you.
Yeah, we're back. Perfect. I was already plugging in my mobile hotspot, but
Okay.
let's see. Yeah, that's what happens when we work with technology. Perfect. So I hope my neighbors did not like cut off the cable completely. So let me start sharing my screen back again. And Chantal, can you just tell me where it's already cutting off so that I can go back a little bit?
Okay. Let me see.
Yeah. Where was that?
Next one.
Oh, is that okay? This one?
Right. That
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
I forgot,
Perfect.
kind of choppy.
Yeah. So the main idea about learning was to be able to talk to these people in the same language and to be able to earn the right to say something and to be heard actually at the table. So I went on learning the revenue things. Apart from marketing and events, I realized that I actually need to upgrade my skills in the revenue. So here is a few things that I did for myself and that I highly recommend to everybody. So David Skok is an expert in revenue, in particular in SaaS industry. So I really recommend watching and reading him. He's like super short, concise, and easy to consume. Recommend joining the revenue-oriented communities such as Rev Genius or Revenue Collective, listening to podcasts with revenue leaders, and of course, talking and learning from your teams. Really, it makes a huge difference when you come to your head of sales and say, please explain me how I can help, like explain how you work and what can be done from my side to make it successful. So these learnings and the ability to talk with my revenue team allowed me to go from the legacy approach to event ROI, when basically we look at the number of leads collected, which is still a thing, even though it's 21st century. And also from the what I call not sustainable approach, which is marketing thing. It's for brand. It doesn't really contribute to revenue. It's like social media mentions and so on, to what I call revenue-driven approach, when we can clearly define where our events contributes to, at which stage of the funnel, how much in MRR it can add to, and how much in expansion MRR it can add to. So with this, I want to test a little bit your knowledge and like to see what you are doing in terms of the ROI and what are the key metrics for your event. So you can go to menti.com again or rescan the QR code and you should see the updated question. You should be able to see the key ROI metrics. Let's give it a second and we will see the results right here. Okay, let me just open the page. Okay. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So we see here new opportunities, sales, leads, pipeline generated. Perfect. Okay, let's see if there are any other ideas. Great. So we see that like the largest one here is leads and sales and pipeline generated. It's great. Like we as event marketers are thinking towards the revenue. However, what I've learned, apart from thinking this way and using, let's say, marketing language to speak about the revenue, it's also important to actually utilize the words and the metrics that your revenue teams are using. So here are the metrics that I've defined as the most important for you to know. These are the MRR, monthly recurring revenue, that shows how much the organization is actually learning on a monthly basis. And it can be new, which is the new business, new customers that your organization has earned, Or it can be an expansion. That would be the expansion deals that have been concluded with your existing customers already. And your events like highly contribute both to the new and to the expansion MRR. When we talk about this pipeline generated, that's what is the potential MRR that you're getting. When we talk about the sales, this is this new MRR, and new opportunities when they're converted are the new MRR. ARR is the annual recurring revenue. So that is for the organizations that look more at the annual level, especially if your subscriptions are on an annual basis. Also, some of the organizations look at the both levels, ARR and MRR, when it is being mixed. And it is important to connect with your revenue and marketing leaders and understand what metrics would be the most important for your organization, because also they can change from year to year or even from quarter to quarter. What's the key focus? Then LTV, it's a lifetime value. So how much actually does a customer on average pay you during their lifetime with you as a customer? CAC, it's customer acquisition cost. You need to know how much your organization on average pays to acquire a customer. And for example, if your event contributes to 110% of that cost, it means that something is wrong. Like if your organization can't afford to pay that much for the customer acquisition costs, because there is never only one thing that contributes to getting customer on board, and this customer acquisition cost has to be split between different channels. Yes, an event can occupy like 70% of it, but you should be aware that other channels are also contributing, and it means that you also have to pay for them. CPL, cost per lead, that is your mantra for any third-party event. So you have to understand how much you're allowed to pay based on the average of your organizations. Conversion rates, everything that means converting from one stage of the funnel to the next one. Why do you need to know it? Because your events can contribute to different stages of the funnel. It can be top of the funnel, brand awareness, or it can be the consideration stage, or it is the delight. How do you know if you can project the revenue? These conversion rates would be the defining for you. And before we dive into some of the formulas and how also you can use it actually on the practicalities, there is a small quiz on everything what I've said above. So right now we will test how attentively you were listening and how advanced we are in terms of the revenue metrics. So Chantal, could you please pull up our first question? Okay, so let's vote. What does MRR stand for? Is it monthly recurring revenue? Is it marketing revenue rate or monthly retention rate? Okay, okay, let's see. And we're done. Of course, that is monthly recurring revenue. That is something that we need to remember. That is the revenue that comes every month into your organization. Okay, let's go for question number 2.
All right.
In which case you would rather look at ARR when assessing event ROI? If it is for a trade show, if your subscription is annual rather than monthly, if your product is sold by a sales team, not through the website. The question did not really fit into the polling option of Zoom, but yeah, I'm finishing it for you. Okay, and yes, exactly. If your subscription is annual rather than monthly, that's when we would rather look at the ARR, unless that is defined with your organization, that MRR is something you should be focusing on. Okay, the next one. Okay, this is a little bit more challenging. What is the healthy lifetime value to customer acquisition cost ratio for a SaaS company? 1-to-1, 3-to-1, or 2-to-1? Okay, let's see. Yeah, of course. Very good. We're like really advanced here. It's 3-to-1. For the organization to keep growing, that lifetime value has to be 3 times higher at least than the customer acquisition cost. Okay, question number 4. What is the correct process funnel? So here it's really about your retention. What comes first, MQLs or SQLs, or maybe SALs? It's definitely not the revenue that comes first. I wish it was, but It's not a magical world. Okay. Yeah, that's actually a tricky question because sometimes the process funnel really depends on what's the organization and what the sales team defines it for themselves. Like the textbooks, they say that it is MQL to sales accepted lead to SQL and then to the revenue. However, currently my own team at Userlane uses the sequence that majority of us voted for, MQL to SQL, then to sales accepted lead, and then to the revenue. So here both answers would have been correct, only not the sales accepted lead and then the MQL. MQL always comes first, and that's something we are in charge of as a marketing team. All right, and then the last question. Okay, you want to sponsor an event to generate leads. Imagine this situation. Which metric will help you evaluate the sponsorship costs? Okay. Yeah, 100% correct result. Of course, that is cost per lead, because you look at the average cost per lead that your organization allows themselves like as a budget, and this will help you define whether this event actually is potentially profitable for you and if it falls within your budget limits. Not just the budget that you've been allocated, because whatever you've been allocated with, you don't have to spend it completely, but budget-wise from the organization perspective, if it fits. Perfect. Thank you for this exercise. I think it was quite an easy quiz, but it shows that also that actually all of these things related to revenue, they're not so hard to learn. And we as event marketers just really have to dive in and spend a little bit of time learning it. And then we'll be able not only to pass such a quiz, but also we'll be able to forecast event ROI and establish event budget. We will be able to report our successes and failures, and we will be able to streamline event analytics with the overall marketing and revenue analytics. So let me just dive in quickly into some of these things. So how would you use it to forecast and the ROI and establish the budget? So here you can easily predict the revenue from the events. For example, if it is a trade show, you look at the number of MQLs that you potentially can gather. Okay, you can say there are 1,000 attendees, we will get 100 MQLs from that, and we will multiply it by the average conversion rate of 10%. It means that we will have 10 people converting and multiply it on the average MRR, let's say of $100. It means that you will get $1,000 of potential revenue from that. So in order to be at the ROI of 1, that's the amount that you can actually spend. And then you can also estimate the kind of pessimistic option when you really are on the lower level of MQLs generated, or you can go for the optimistic options when the event was really great, the audience was amazing, and you can estimate higher. And this gives you at least some margin of where your event budget for this particular event can be. That is what I find super helpful when assessing especially new events and establishing your own, or maybe sponsoring the third party when you dive into the unknown and you don't know if this price is actually okay or if it is too much. Because some events are incredibly expensive. We know that some sponsorship is just out of this world and we don't know why this costs that much. So basically you just look at the numbers of what you can potentially generate there. And when we talk about reporting, it's very important to set the results and the expectations beforehand. So when you decide to sponsor or organize an event, you have to set these results and not just, okay, we're probably going to do that. No, use the metrics, use this revenue language, and get the agreement from your revenue and marketing teams that, okay, we agree on these results. And if we achieve that, if we can achieve that, then we're taking this event on board. Why it's important to get the revenue teams on board. As an event marketer, it's a unique case that you don't really own the event ROI. Like you don't really sell, right? You don't go and talk to people about the sales, but you are measured according to this event ROI that is shown. So really your revenue team is your best buddy here. You need to work together. And then you provide your reporting according to the expectations you've set, and nobody can blame you for not doing something that has not been agreed. Everything is there, everything is written down. It also will help you to own the failures, because yes, we expected this event to deliver this, it did not deliver. We analyze what has gone wrong, or maybe this event has delivered on a different metric and it was good. So we proposed the improvement plan. Maybe use this event for a different purpose, or maybe if it didn't deliver completely, we just give up on it and instead use different projects. And the last but not least is streamlining the analytics. What I found out is that very often event analytics is not only aligned, it's not aligned with revenue analytics, but sometimes it's also not aligned with marketing analytics. In particular, it was the case for the in-person events, because you can't track everything online. You can't track the touch points. Right now with virtual, things get easier in terms of the analytics, but still, sometimes we look at different things. So we really need to understand what is the ultimate ROI metric for marketing activities. You have to align your event analytics to this metric. So if all of the marketing teams are working on increasing the lifetime value, your events have to contribute to that. And then out of myriad of revenue metrics, I really recommend choosing only 2 or 3 additional metrics that you will look at, discuss with revenue marketing leaders, and agree upon that. It's impossible, no, it's possible to measure everything, but then you will spend more time measuring it than actually doing things, and also it won't really help you to achieve the success. So it's really about these 2-3 key metrics that allow you to move forward, and what's the most important is to move forward together as one team, marketing and revenue under one roof, what I like to call as a commercial team. So with this, I think it's time to open up our conversation and really go to the questions and challenges that you've submitted beforehand. But also, I think we can unmute any one of you if you want to speak up, ask a question, comment. Really excited to hear your thoughts as well and your experience with that. So just raise your hand if you want to talk, and if you want to share something, and Chantal will unmute you. And for now, let me see what we have submitted here. So interested in other ways to measure event success. I hope that some things that I've shared for now have addressed this, like kind of looking at the precise revenue metrics, but happy to explore more on it if you want to unmute and comment on this one. Creating more intentional events. So this, again, I think what will help you is aligning with revenue teams, just sitting down saying, okay, what can we help with? Like, what parts of the funnel, let's say, you need to tackle? Do you see that there is a problem with conversion of prospects? Or do we need actually more leads, but high quality leads? Or maybe there is a problem with retention and we can help somehow. Really, this will help you to understand what is the purpose of the event, why you should be creating it, and what are the results. This will help you with this intention. We have such a big problem with tracking ROI in follow-ups. How do you keep your sales teams engaged to see quality follow-ups? It's a great question, because the follow-up is a crucial part of the event, and great if you're thinking about it. So what I see with the follow-up and how to engage your sales team in it actually comes from the beginning, from the setting the expectations and setting the results and getting the agreement of sales team on it as well. And also educating them that event does not end when it ends. It's actually, when you imagine that you are working as a one team with the sales, basically it's your job as an event person before and during the event, but it's the sales team that is working with the event afterwards. Unless your product just sells out on the website itself, then it's sales team that is working on the follow-up. So agree on the system that will work for them. On the handover of the leads, okay, we need to mark the high quality leads within the 24 hours, and then you take care of the personalized outreach to them. All of the other leads that you did not mark will go through the marketing automation, or maybe through the personalized follow-ups, but from the marketing team. Or maybe the sales team says like, okay, don't touch the leads. That's a very often phrase, don't touch them. We will do it ourselves. Okay, but if you say you will do it, you have to do it within 72 hours after the event, because that's the lifetime of the lead after the event. And you really have to own and kind of not only serve, basically, let me use this term that, okay, here's the event, here's the leads, please do something. No, but you set this agreement level between you and between the revenue, between the sales team, and you kind of held them responsible for that. Just like they can say that, okay, this event was not good because people were unhappy or they didn't like the content. That is your failure, right? And you should be able to own it. But if they don't follow the guidelines and the agreements that you've set together, you can hold them accountable as well. So I hope this gives some insights on what you can do with the sales team. And we have 3 more minutes in this session. So I think we have time for one more question if we have one. Let me just stop sharing my screen so that I can finally see you all. Okay. So are there any other questions that you would like to discuss? Okay.
It looks like Natalie had a question about what type of organizations are using these metrics.
Sorry, let me see where is the question.
11:59 a.m. Natalie Wong.
Okay, I'm curious what type of organizations are using these metrics. If it's exceptionally advanced for the ones I've worked for. Great questions. So what I see, these metrics are 100% used by all of the SaaS companies. So everything software as a service, this is like a mantra for them. And some of the like tech companies, everything that is enterprise software as well, are looking at the ARR. I guess some of the companies are still in the transition period. And to be honest, I've been part of the company that where half of people, or even more, also were not aware of these metrics. But over the past 2 years, they've done through a huge transition of getting everybody on board. That's true, that is the next level, but that is the level where it really starts to be intentional and revenue-driven approach rather than just doing things because that's what everybody does and that's what kind of is expected. Yeah. Well,
I would say excuse me.
Yeah.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say the most important part of the conversation, and Aleksandra did mention it, is getting buy-in from all of the executives and stakeholders on the methodology. When I do this, I'm sorry, I'm Allison Shepard. Just a quick background. I'm a third-party strategist. Organizations come to me when they are building a measurement program and do not have access to the kind of metrics that a SaaS software company can pull instantly. I never hear from big tech companies because they have this information. The companies that I hear from are in manufacturing, food and beverage, aerospace, all these other industries that either use Salesforce or don't use Salesforce.com. If they use Salesforce, nobody ever consulted with the event team on how to pull the type of information they will need from it to be able to apply to metrics. Or if they don't use Salesforce or any other type of CRM, and believe it or not, there are still companies out there that do that, we have to build this for them intentionally so that they are still able to make smarter investments when they're looking at their analytics. So what I find is that when I'm working with those companies, one of the very first things that I do is I put together something called an accountability agreement. And what that is it lays out what we're going to measure, the methodology we're going to use to measure it, all of those background data points that Aleksandra mentioned, everything from lifetime customer value to cost per lead, et cetera, and where it came from, I mentioned. And then down at the bottom, before I even start measuring any event, I have them sign at the bottom, every stakeholder, so that a lot of times when you're working as a third party or this is brand new to an organization, you'll have some random executive come in at the last minute and say, well, I don't believe in this. This can't be right. This doesn't make sense. And I'm hearing people, yeah, kind of nodding along with that. But then at the end, when I come back with the results and say, okay, here's what's not measuring up and here's why, I can say to them, even though, you say right now you don't agree with it, well, here's your signature on the bottom of this accountability agreement that says, yes, that you are going to abide by that. And part of that accountability agreement can be, as Aleksandra said, is what to do when, as part of that accountability agreement, to get sales to sign off with what are their next steps with the leads that you're going to provide them, to make sure that they are accountable to those, to the follow-up, and accountable to helping you being able to prove that your event was revenue generating.
Yeah, amazing. Like this is this accountability taken to the next level, and you're actually like pushing the person to sign up for. But yeah, that's a great approach. And I totally agree that with SaaS companies, it's a little bit easier because like it's more metrics oriented and everything moves faster. But definitely when you work with this larger scale, more, let's say, old school in terms of the structure and analytics structure companies, that's a new level of nightmare. And yeah, what you've touched base about the Salesforce, got another topic I would love to talk about, because there's so many ways to measure and attribute the revenue within the Salesforce for events in particular. But we're running out of time. The good thing is there is a central perk where we can actually continue the conversations about revenue and ROI of the events if anybody is interested in. I'm jumping in there right after this session, so we'll be happy to see any of you. And also, if you're interested to talk afterwards, please find me on LinkedIn, Aleksandra Panyukina. Just copy paste my name so you don't have to type that long, and you will find me on LinkedIn. That's where I am every day. Thank you all so much for coming to this session, for interacting with all of my quizzes and polls, and for our conversation. Enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you, Aleksandra. Thank you, everyone. And feel free to stay for the next session at 11:20 a.m. Central Time. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. All right, good morning. Oh, here we go.
Good morning.
Morning, Jean.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How's it going on your side?
It's going well. I was expecting like a nice, sunny, bright day to be my natural light, but the clouds came in and like, hello, this is what we're doing today.
Yeah, wasn't expecting that with all the sun we've had here. Where are you located?
I'm in the Washington, D.C. area,
Oh,
on Northern Virginia. You are? Where?
I am in Springfield.
You're in Springfield. I'm in Loudoun County. I'm in Ashburn.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh. We're so close. I know.
Indeed, indeed. So
amazing.
it looks like, I'm getting a little nervous to see. It looks like everybody's had like slides and all kinds of things to share. And my topic is not very slide-ish.
That's okay. We'll make it your own. Not every presentation needs slides, so it's okay.
Okay, I was told that was okay. So I just want to make sure that we are all good here. And I'm going to also ask for grace. I'm a first-time presenter, y'all. I've never done this before.
Well, you look great. You sound great. Thus far, we have those two things down.
Awesome. So I will actually change my name on the screen so that people can actually, rename.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. JD. And I want to run through a few things with you since I wasn't there for your tech rehearsal.
Yes.
Let's see here. All righty. So I have you on 11:20 to 11:50. That's 12:20 to 12:50 our time.
Correct.
Perfect. I have you down for live Zoom. I have you presenting for the first 10 minutes using Spotlight, and then I have it open for conversation afterwards.
Yes.
All
So I
right.
did put like just literally 5 slides together just to give them a context.
That's all right.
Nothing
Okay.
really huge. I really want this to be a conversation because it's not a me telling the audience what to do. That's not the intention at all. This is just, this was our experience. This is how we went about doing an event that talked about such a third rail topic at times. And so what I really want is engagement and people to ask all kinds of questions, because it's massive. There's so much you can ask. But what I'm going to focus on is the work we did for this specific event in our particular world. So again, massive topic, small area. So we're not trying to extrapolate it to everybody as this is your, you're solving your magic wand to solve everything.
Sounds good.
So,
okay.
So can I assume that the folks who are still in the line are going to stay? Hello, everyone.
Michelle, actually, she's taking over after me. So she's more of a moderator like I am. She's learning, as we all are.
Excellent.
But I believe everyone else should be staying.
Michelle, are you going to be with like the moderator from my session or after my session you're starting?
In the afternoon, so after.
Afternoon.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm learning from Chantel. She's doing a great job so far. So
excellent.
Thank you.
yes.
Can I test my screen share just to make sure I know how to do it?
Go for it. Yeah.
It says that host disable attendee screen sharing.
Oh, give me 1 second. Make you a co-host. That's my bad. Let me do that. Boom. There we go. And there we go.
Let's try. Would you like to stop others screen sharing? Do you want to continue? Continue.
Yeah, I'll pick it up once we begin.
Okay, here it is. Oh, I want to do something. Let's see. Good.